So in this video, I'll be taking you through a brand new document where the police and the prosecution provide their own theories as to what happened the night that Tucker, Tate and Rolfe were murdered. Take a listen to the following. Okay, so let's take a look at the following document here. Now this is the draft opening note written by the prosecution, and this was done on the 21st of the 8th, 1997. So basically, this provides the prosecution barristers with a brief outline concerning the case against Michael Steele and Jack Wombs. And interestingly, on the following pages here, they're discussing the crime scene itself. They talk about the shots that each of these three individuals have received. They start with Craig Rolfe, the driver, shot twice, once to the right side of face, cheek, neck area, second behind top right ear. Tucker, the front passenger, shot 3 times, right side of face, and the middle back of head. Pat Tate, the rear passenger, also shot 3 times, right chest side of lower ribs area, graze over back top just below crown of head and behind the left ear. It then says, go back to the plan, only 7 cartridges found, photos of 6. So there were 7 cartridge cases recovered from the crime scene. They believe there was 8 wounds inflicted, so there's obviously a cartridge missing, and there was only photographs taken of 6 of those 7 cartridges. It says the 7th was in the rear passenger footwell and missed from the photographs. It then goes on to state the following. The firearms expert could deduce various things with varying degrees of certainty. A. At least 8 shots were fired from a shotgun. B. The 7 cartridge cases found at the scene had all been discharged from the same weapon. C. All shots fired were from close range. D. Most through an open rear passenger door. E. The barrel of the firearm from which all majority fired had not been shortened. F. One of the shots into the head of Rolfe passed through the headrest first. G. Likely that the shot which caused a superficial injury to Tate's scalp was fired from the offside, and that it also broke the rear near side window or caused it further damage. H. The shot into Tate's head would appear to have been inflicted from the near side through the shattered window, and the wound to his side is likely to have been inflicted when the body was in the position it was found in. I. It is probable but not certain that a pump-action or self-loading shotgun discharged the 7 cases. Okay, so let's discuss point G here very quickly. Likely that the shot which caused the superficial injury to Tate's scalp was fired from the offside. So remember, the offside is the driver's side. We've got the offside and the near side of the vehicle. The offside is the driver's side. Likely that the shot which caused a superficial injury to Tate's scalp was fired from the offside, and that it also broke the rear near side window or caused it further damage. Now, I'm not entirely sure that I agree with what is stated here, because look at the angle at which this wound was created. It goes from the top down to the right. Now, the only way that I can see this particular shot emanating from the right-hand side is if Tate turns square onto the shooter and ducks his head. That's literally the only way that I can see that shot being fired from the offside. Now, in my opinion, what's happened here in terms of the shooting overall is that the Range Rover has pulled up, the back door has opened, the gunman approaches, Rolfe is shot first, Tucker is then shot across the face, and then Tate is shot in the abdomen. That's the way I've always perceived it, just to incapacitate him, and then the gunman walks around the back of the vehicle where the further 2 shots are then inflicted. However, what calls that into question is when you take a look at point H, and again we're talking about Pat Tate here, and it says the wound to his side is likely to have been inflicted when the body was in the position it was found in. So remember, Tate is over to the left-hand side, he's right up against the glass, he's scrunched up in the rear of the vehicle, right into the corner. And they believe that the wound to his abdomen was inflicted at that stage. So it gives you the impression, doesn't it? They're suggesting here that the shot that goes across his head is fired from the offside. He then moves across to the near side of the vehicle. He's then shot in the abdomen. The killer walks around the back of the vehicle and then shoots him at point-blank range. Tucker is then shot at point-blank range. The killer walks back around the vehicle, opens the driver's door. Craig is shot in the face. Tucker is shot in the face. The ignition is turned off. The door is shut. And the killer or killers walk away. But for me, what I believe is more likely, and again, all of this is just pure speculation. I mean, no one really knows in what order these shots were fired. It's pure speculation. But I would suggest that Rolfe was shot first with the headrest shot. Tucker is shot. Tate is then shot in the abdomen, forcing him to move closer to the near side of the car. The killer walks around to the back of the vehicle, most likely level with Tony Tucker's door handle, that sort of angle there, in order to get the angle on Tate's head, which you see in the diagram here, shooting downwards from top to the right of his head. He then walks closer, shoots him at close range. Tucker at close range walks back around the vehicle, opens the driver's door. Craig, Tony, ignition off, door shut, and they walk away. The document then goes on to state the following. Fingerprint examination of the vehicle yielded nothing of significance. From condition of footwear, it did not appear that any of the dead men had got out of the vehicle after it had stopped at the locked gate. Now again, another point of contention, isn't it? Because take a look at the following photograph. Now, this is showing the sole of Tony Tucker's boots, and many people have said, well, he's got mud on the bottom of his boots here. Has he at some stage got out of this vehicle? Has he got out of the Range Rover and then he's got back in before the shooting took place? Is that a possibility? But it's quite strange here, isn't it? That the prosecution and the police, they're suggesting based on these photographs, based on the footwear condition or the condition of the footwear of these three individuals, they don't believe that any of these people ever got out of the vehicle. Now, can they say that categorically based on the photograph in front of you? The fact that the two men in the front at least had been in relaxed poses when they had died, and that the open rear door was the aperture through which the majority of the shots were fired, suggests they knew the person who opened the door so that the killings could take place. The fact that they were still facing the front tends to suggest that that person had travelled with them and was leaving the vehicle on some pretext, rather than that someone new was opening the door from the outside. The fact that a long-barreled gun is suggested indicates the participation of another, bringing it to the vehicle and either using it or handing it to the former offside rear passenger. Now, a very interesting observation here based on the way the bodies were discovered, particularly the two front passengers. Very relaxed, they're both facing forward. Craig Rolfe still had his hands on the steering wheel. And think about this, they're travelling down a dark, isolated farm track. They pull up to a locked 5-bar gate, and then all of a sudden, the back door opens. If that was a surprise, the first thing you're going to do is spin around, turn around, what's going on? But that doesn't appear to be the case when you look at how these bodies were discovered. They're in very relaxed poses. You've got Tucker, shoulders forward, knees forward, everything facing forward, almost as if he's asleep. You've got Craig Rolfe, who's still got his hands on the steering wheel. The opening of that back door is quite important. It doesn't appear to be a surprise. Now that suggests one of two things. Either they were meeting someone they knew, or someone who is closely connected to this crime travelled down there with them in the Range Rover. And like they say, it's as the story has been told. The back door opens up. Oh, don't worry, I'll get the gate. Opens the door, leaves it open, and someone else approaches from nearby bushes. I mean, that's the only thing that really makes any sense, isn't it? I mean, the idea that someone has approached from beyond the locked 5-bar gate and then has somehow opened that back door and Rolfe and Tucker are still completely facing forward, in very relaxed positions, doesn't seem particularly feasible, does it? I would suggest that what they're saying here does actually make quite a lot of sense based on the way those bodies were discovered. Let me know some of your thoughts down in the comment section below.